the sound of beeping machines, the sterile smell of disinfectant, and Roman Reigns sitting beside a hospital bed, staring at his cousin Jey Uso with tears streaming down his face. But here's what WWE doesn't want you to know about what really happened in that hospital room and why Roman's reaction has sent shockwaves through the entire wrestling world. You think you know the story? You think you saw everything that went down at WrestlePalooza? Think again, because what I'm about to reveal will make you question everything you thought you knew about the bloodline, about family loyalty, and about the man who calls himself the tribal chief. Let me paint you the real picture of what went down that night. Jey Uso wasn't just injured, he was destroyed. We're talking about an injury so severe that doctors initially thought his career was over. And the worst part? It could have been prevented if someone, and I'm looking directly at Roman Reigns here, had done what family is supposed to do: protect each other. The footage from WrestlePalooza shows the final moments before disaster struck. Jey Uso, giving everything he had in that ring, pushed beyond his limits because he was trying to prove something. But prove what? That he deserved to stand beside Roman? That he was worthy of being called family? The cameras caught Roman at ringside, watching, calculating, and here's the part that'll make your blood boil. He had multiple opportunities to intervene, to throw in the towel, to save his cousin from what was coming next. But he didn't. And now Jey is lying in that hospital bed with 3 fractured vertebrae, a concussion so severe he couldn't remember his own name for 6 hours, and internal injuries that required emergency surgery. Tell me in the comments, when does competition cross the line into family betrayal? Because what Roman did, or rather what he didn't do, has me questioning everything about the so-called tribal chief. The hospital visit footage that leaked, and trust me, WWE tried everything to keep this under wraps, shows a side of Roman Reigns we've never seen before. Gone was the stoic, controlled leader of the bloodline. Instead, we saw a man completely broken, sitting beside his cousin's bed at 3 in the morning, whispering apologies that may have come too little, too late. Here's what the leaked audio reveals, and I'm warning you, this is going to hit different. Roman repeatedly saying, "I should have stopped it, I should have protected you," while Jey, barely conscious and heavily medicated, kept asking, "Why didn't you acknowledge me when it mattered?" That conversation, folks, that's the sound of a family dynasty crumbling in real time. But it gets worse, so much worse. Because while Roman was having his crisis of conscience, other members of the WWE roster were already circling like vultures. Seth Rollins posted a cryptic message on social media just hours after the injury: "Sometimes the real enemy isn't who you think it is." Cody Rhodes was spotted outside the same hospital, claiming he was just visiting a friend, but insiders say he was there trying to recruit you the moment he wakes up fully. The wrestling world is buzzing with rumors that this injury, this moment of vulnerability, has created the perfect storm for a bloodline civil war that'll make their previous family drama look like a friendly disagreement. And Roman knows it. The leaked hospital footage shows him not just grieving for his cousin, but strategically planning his next moves, even in his most vulnerable moment. Now here's where things get really interesting, and I need you to pay attention because this changes everything we thought we knew about that night. Multiple sources backstage at WrestlePalooza are now coming forward with information that suggests Roman had advanced knowledge that Jey was injured before the match even started. We're talking about a pre-existing back injury that Jey had been hiding for weeks, an injury so severe that one wrong move could cause exactly what happened. So the question becomes, and drop your thoughts in the comments because this is crucial: did Roman knowingly send his injured cousin into a match that could end his career? Was this calculated? Was this the tribal chief making a business decision that put WWE storyline ahead of family safety? The hospital surveillance footage that somehow made it to social media shows Roman arriving at 11:47 p.m., exactly 3 hours and 15 minutes after the injury occurred. 3 hours! Where was he for 3 hours while his family was fighting for his career, possibly his life? The timestamp doesn't lie, and neither do the witnesses who saw Roman's rental car parked outside WWE headquarters during that time gap. What was so important at WWE headquarters that it took priority over rushing to his cousin's bedside? Sources inside the company are whispering about an emergency meeting between Roman, WWE management, and legal teams. They are saying contracts were being rewritten, storylines were being scrapped, and damage control was being strategized while Jey was literally unconscious in the ICU. But when Roman finally did arrive at the hospital, that's when the real drama began. The leaked footage shows Roman being denied entry initially because he wasn't listed as immediate family on Jey's emergency contact forms. Think about that for a second. The man who calls himself the head of the family wasn't even listed as someone to contact in case of emergency. What does that tell you about the real relationship between these two? It took Jimmy Uso personally coming down to the hospital lobby to get Roman cleared for visitation. And the conversation between the twins that was caught on the hospital security audio? Jimmy allegedly told Roman, "He asked for you first, but I told them to call his real family instead." The tension, the resentment, the years of Roman's manipulation all came pouring out in that sterile hospital corridor. When Roman finally got to Jey's bedside, witnesses describe a man completely transformed. Gone was the confident tribal chief, replaced by someone desperate, almost pathetic in his attempts to seek forgiveness from his unconscious cousin. Nurses reported that Roman stayed for 14 straight hours, refusing food, refusing to leave even when visiting hours ended. But here's the part that's going to make you question everything about Roman since righty during those 14 hours, he made 17 phone calls. 17. While sitting beside his critically injured cousin's hospital bed, Roman was conducting business, managing his image, and according to phone records that somehow leaked, he spent 43 minutes on a call with his personal publicist discussing crisis management strategies. The most damning piece of evidence? A voicemail Roman left for Paul Heyman at 4:23 a.m. from that hospital room. In it, Roman can be heard saying, "We need to control this narrative, Paul. This can't look like it's my fault. The fans can't turn on me because of this." Even in his moment of supposed vulnerability and grief, Roman was thinking about his image, his brand, his position. Now, I want you to really think about this next part because it's going to blow your mind. Multiple independent sources are reporting that WWE has been planning a major Bloodline storyline shakeup for months. They needed a catalyst, something dramatic enough to justify breaking up the most dominant faction in recent WWE history. Was Jey's injury that catalyst? Was this always the plan? Think about the timing. WrestlePalooza happened just weeks before the biggest pay-per-view season of the year. An injured Jey Uso creates sympathy, creates drama, creates the perfect setup for Roman's eventual face turn when he realizes what his leadership has cost his family. It's almost too perfect, too convenient. And Jey's injury, while very real and very serious, has created the exact emotional storyline that wrestling fans eat up. The guilty cousin, the family torn apart, the leader who must face the consequences of his actions. It's compelling television, but at what cost? Here's what really happened in that hospital room during the hours when Roman thought no cameras were watching. According to a nurse who was present, Jey regained consciousness briefly around 6 a.m. His first words weren't about his pain, weren't about his injury. They were, "Did we get him over?" He was asking if his sacrifice had helped Roman's character development. Even while fighting for his career, Jey was still putting Roman first. Roman's response? He broke down completely. Witnesses describe uncontrollable sobbing, begging Jey for forgiveness, promising that things would be different. But when Jey slipped back into sedated sleep, Roman immediately stepped into the hallway and resumed his phone calls with WWE management. The duality, the manipulation, the calculated nature of every action even in his most human moment, Roman Reigns was playing an angle. And that, more than any championship reign, more than any main event victory, shows you exactly who Roman Reigns really is. What do you think? Drop a comment and let me know. Is Roman a victim of WWE storytelling machine, or is he the master manipulator who's been playing us all along? Because after seeing this hospital footage, after hearing these leaked conversations, I'm not sure I can ever look at the tribal chief the same way again. The story doesn't end there, though. Because while Roman was having his crisis in that hospital room, the wrestling world kept spinning. Contracts were being negotiated, storylines were being rewritten, and careers were being planned around Jey Uso's broken body lying in that bed. And that's the real tragedy here, not just that Jey got hurt, but that his injury immediately became a commodity, a plot point, a way to generate sympathy and storyline momentum for everyone except the man who actually paid the price. So I'm asking you directly, comment below and tell me what you really think happened at WrestlePalooza. Was this a tragic accident, or the inevitable result of Roman Reigns putting business before family? Because the evidence I've shown you today paints a picture that WWE definitely doesn't want you to see. The tribal chief may acknowledge himself, but will he ever truly acknowledge the cost of his reign? Time will tell, but one thing's for certain: the bloodline will never be the same again.